All right, hi everyone, we're in a rush. I'm currently trying to more actively follow the plan that we've been describing, this new scheduling Optiflow thing. I recorded 2 studio shorts and 1 main channel short, and now we're doing the second channel video. Okay, I probably won't be able to get the whole thing done, but we'll work on it. Hi everyone, this is probably really confusing for someone that's just found this channel and just found this video. I promise we're not weird. We get a lot of stuff done here. So in the last podcast episode, I kind of outlined this Optiflow technique for helping with my productivity. I also spoke about the different parts of that schedule that would induce the most drag time, and also where tools could be developed to help with that. Now, the fascinating thing about this channel, as small as it is, which is still very sad, this is an incredibly powerful channel. So like I said, the Blender Cinema website project is ongoing, and later on today I want to actually properly sit down and flesh out the database again, and I probably won't ask for any more suggestions for films because now I have too much stuff to add and I really want to get the website out there. I know that Joshua's probably getting quite bored of waiting for me to get that done. But in the last video, I mentioned how I want some custom programs where I can just double click on them and it will open up a project workspace immediately. So open up Blender at the right blend file, open up file explorers at the right folder workspaces, and web browsers pointing to the right Gumroad or Blender Market pages so I can quickly change over the files if I work on an update for a product in a day. But what do you know, a couple of audience members have already started building the tools. It's really interesting being able to inspire people into starting new projects like this, and I'll be really interested in keeping track. You don't have to finish it if you're watching, obviously, but it's really cool seeing what kinds of experiments people are doing. So maybe I should start recording my screen for this. All right, so take a look here. Users Vertex Machine and Taco Shrimp have already started building this software called WinFlow. Well, WinFlow, Window Flow, the logo says WinFlow, the text says Window Flow. Effortlessly restore and organize your workspace with our customizable app launcher. I often have multiple projects running simultaneously, and it's always frustrated me that I couldn't easily restore my workspace. By workspace, I mean a set of windows that are opened and positioned appropriately. For example, one workspace may consist of Firefox with 3 tabs maximized on one screen, 2 file explorers side by side on the other screen, and Unreal Engine on top of it. So you can see where this is going. The same thing applies for my Blender project workspaces. Blender in one place, a couple of file explorers, the web browser with the file workspace. Inspired by Curtis Holt's recent video, I began searching for a solution to this problem. However, it seemed that there were none available for Windows, or they were quite expensive for such a simple functionality. After discussing with Matthew in Curtis's Discord community, we decided to create our own solution. So this is the crazy thing. I just put that video out yesterday, and already we have people working on the project. It's branded, a proper description here. This is what progress feels like. So I haven't been able to test it yet, but I definitely will. I'll find some time for that, hopefully later on today. Maybe I will also be able to contribute to the project at some point as well. It's using Python, which I know, so that's fine. If you guys want to add me as a contributor, that'd be cool as well. And I'll try and familiarize myself with everything that you've done. But yeah, we had a little look around the internet to find possible workflow solutions. There are some things which do come close, but they don't get it exactly right, and they're quite expensive, or there's some kind of monthly plan. It just seems like there's always a gap somewhere that doesn't fulfill every need, which is weird because this seems like a kind of common sense thing that I'm sure many people want. A lot of the problem behind it is, I think, being able to put windows in certain places is easy, that's fine. But it's being able to send commands to the softwares, open specific things. Thankfully, I think Blender's quite good with that. Web browsers seem to be okay because you can open specific links by passing commands. And it seems like for what we want to do, it should be possible or accessible, but maybe not for every kind of software. So yeah, I just thought you'd be interested to see this. I'm just really surprised by how tiny this channel is, but we have a little tight-knit group of really capable creatives, and we're bouncing ideas off each other, and we're developing things that I think, large companies would invest a lot of time and a lot of money into. And yet here we go. Bap, 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 bap. Okay, different subject. This time, I want to talk about art with a purpose. So coming back to the Optiflow day schedule, on any particular day when I want to start working on artwork, which maybe I'll try to do today, depends how I feel, I've been thinking that, a lot of the art stuff we do with 3D art is quite purposeless. What I mean by that is maybe we'll do a robotic head or something, or a gun because it looks cool, or a really cool sci-fi corridor or whatever. It's stuff that we've kind of trained because they're really good exercises for visual balance. And a lot of those good theory elements of 3D design, especially composition, they're all pretty cool, but they're all pretty shallow and purposeless. Well, I say purposeless, outside of that learning purpose, that learning process, portfolio stuff, whatever. But I think an interesting angle to get back into making artwork would be to do it in connection to something maybe humanitarian, I'm not too sure. What I mean is just something that has much more value beyond just what it is. Because obviously value is a question that's come into the frame recently given new AI art generation tools. And like I've said in previous videos, I don't ever think that the value of authenticity will go away. It's never gone away for the food industry, industry. You know, people pay extortionate amounts of money for food cooked and prepared by certain people in certain ways. Same thing for watches. We have like watches that do everything we need, but people will still pay like 10, 20,000 pounds, dollars, whatever, just for one that's more authentic. Same with cars, same with like every part of commercialization ever. There's always been a desire for authenticity. I don't think that will ever change, and I don't think AI art tools are going to change that either. Sure, maybe the medium will look different, maybe the way we find authentic artworks will change, but I think there will always be value to artists. But the thing is, artwork with value, artwork with purpose, I think may be better served if it connects to people. What I mean is, imagine an event. Maybe we take like the Ukraine war or something like that, or a charity. Maybe we think about the Great Ormond Street Hospital or something like that. The thing is, when you think about these two things, especially charities, you think, isn't that kind of boring? I mean, sure, it has a good purpose, but what are we going to do? Just like recreate the logo or something like that? I don't think that's true, because we can make really cool looking artwork, but still connect it to a more important purpose. Cool factor. Obviously, when the Ukraine war started, we saw a lot of people doing these, you know, nice looking sunflower field artworks, or, you know, some really cool, slightly abstract stuff with things being between two states, you know, like beauty and destruction, but using the, you know, the yellow and the blue colors of the Ukraine flag and things like that. I just think that having an idea for a cool piece of artwork, but then subsequently connecting that to a more defined purpose for humanitarian reasons kind of gives us like more value, or kind of adds, I don't know, some more importance to the actual artwork we're making. Things like charities, I think it'll be interesting, because you can do like an expressive kind of like sculpture artwork or something, you know. Got like a head, what's going on? Oh, they're kind of like in a suffering position, but what's going on now? We have someone, they're coming to prop them up. Like, oh, multiple layers of meaning. And it's another way to develop those skills. Like, you know, we have challenges which go on throughout the year. So Sculpt January is still going on now because it's still January. And that's good because, you know, for learning purposes, you have all these different prompts and it gives you a reason to actually create something and develop those skills, and you can show it to people. But I just think another angle to take is, rather than just having like a single word prompt, you take a purpose, like a really good cause in the world, you hold that there, and then you combine it with something else you want to try. Okay, you want to try sculpting, you want to try something environmental. How can you combine these two things together? And I think that's a good way to maybe train that kind of creative muscle, because you're trying to find ways to overlap purpose with skill development. And at the end of it, what you have is something that isn't so, I don't know, easy to disregard, like another sci-fi gun or a spaceship cockpit or something like that, but something that people can actually appreciate, something you can hand over, you know, to the charity and say, look, you can have it if you like. And who doesn't like good surprises like that? You're actually doing something you can give to people and maybe feel proud about, something that will be kind of more significant for the portfolio. Hi, I see you're suffering, I made this. Hi, I feel like you need some more representation, I made you this. So it's just an idea I had, like, for a different angle to get back into doing artwork, is maybe can we put together like a list of important causes that making artwork for would be a cool thing. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way, because I've spoken about it with a couple of friends, that a lot of the time we're getting caught in this cycle of Twitter, right? Not just Twitter, but I'm going to use it for a good example, where it's tried to make something that looks shiny and cool, post it for likes, and then try it again the next day, and then feel disappointed when you don't get the same kind of engagement. Are you a failure? What are you doing? And let's face it, when it does do well, you don't feel as good as you felt as bad when it didn't do well. And it's the same kind of cycle that happens on every platform, including YouTube as well. And it feels like this entire dynamic is just shallow. How can we increase that positive factor there? Some kind of extra satisfaction going on? Because clearly positivity loses out in this loop when things don't go too well. I think by inserting extra purpose into the mix, possibly for, as we're saying, a human connection, we can maybe add some extra positivity there. So that loop of trying to, you know, grow, add things, get more satisfaction doesn't seem as lacking in purpose, if that makes sense. So what I want you to do in the comments is, if you have any causes, any charities, any aspects of like underrepresentation that you think deserve more attention or artwork made out of, then put them down. Maybe you've been affected by something in the past. Maybe there's a certain hospital. Maybe you've been affected by racism, homophobia, something like that, and you just want more people to be thinking about it. Let me know, because maybe we can put like a list together somewhere and just think, hey, here are all the good parts of humanity we're thinking about. Let's try and make artwork for it. And I feel like that could be like a good initiative. Maybe I'll think a bit more about this in the future. It'd be nice to have a place where we can see all of these causes. Maybe this is like another idea for a website. All of these causes in the world, and we can have like a collage of everyone's artwork made for them, and it would turn into like this really nice, vibrant thing. I feel like this is maybe another way to kind of combat that lack of a sense of authenticity from the AI art movement, where if we have a place where we have such defined purposes there, and we can see complete human creation kind of turning it into something beautiful, kind of gives artwork like a new sense of purpose. Let me know what you think. I'll be interested to get back into making artwork, and this would also be another reason to stop me feeling bad about like like maybe using other people's assets and stuff, because like the main reason I've given myself that restriction for artwork is because it forces me to produce more content here to like market, sell, share with people, whatever. But having an actual purpose like this would mean, oh wait, maybe it's actually beneficial for me to use other people's assets, tools, whatever, because now we're doing it for a good reason. So we'll call this one Project Humanity. And I do already have a space for it on my Notion under my general projects. So I'll think more about that one. And the cool thing is, you know, it kind of integrates with everything else here as well, because even though it's more purposeful artwork, it still fits into like this whole pool dynamic. You know, for like this kind of scheduling thing, we can share the artwork where content is regularly shared. Great. Next project, which I've been very hesitant to talk about, but since we're on a roll with this stuff, Provenance. Starting in 2022, I've been investing some funds in taking historical artifacts off the private art market with the core intention of changing their ultimate destination. So this will be for museums or potentially, depending on what the artifact is, location of origin. So I'm doing some like really fast writing with a mouse here. So this will be a thing where I'm basically collecting historical artifacts to stop them from being sent off to places like Switzerland, like Swiss vaults, and China, because I've noticed there are some fads where, for example, like amulets from ancient Egypt are for some reason really popular in China at the moment. Like there are a lot of Chinese bidders coming out of the woodwork to bid specifically on Egyptian amulets, and I'm not sure why, but I just feel like having artifacts on the private art market is disappointing because then those artifacts aren't available for future generations. The hypocrisy here is that they will be in my private collection for now, still unavailable for future generations, but the end goal is that through my work with the project later on in life, they'll be sent off to museums or location of origin, or in my last will and testament, I will make a note to choose where they go from there. Now here's the thing, I have recorded an entire video that was supposed to go up on this second channel, showing me unpacking and checking these items as they come in, making sure that they weren't damaged in transit, and making sure that, you know, they actually were what they were. Of course, there's every possibility that there are some fakes included in the collection, and I think this is interesting because I'm interested in learning more about identifying fakes and also how to preserve artifacts for the future as well. So it's basically just like another little hobby where I can try and develop some new skills. Again, hopefully another thing I can talk about like on the web portfolio at some point if I ever get that set up. I'll probably show you some little clips of this on the screen now. Again, one of the reasons I've been so hesitant to talk about it is because there's a lot of political virtue signaling around the movement of artifacts. I'm not qualified to make decisions relating to locations of origin versus museums. I feel like that's something for governments to decide. Also, there's a whole thing about certain items you can't really export without getting a license as well. So there are like some legal technicalities behind it. Also, the whole location of origin thing is very politically charged, with certain people in positions of political power using it for points. You know, and there are sometimes a lot of things I don't agree with there, so I don't really want to be like playing into someone's hand politically. That's all too much like big real world stuff for me, so with this little project, it's just my small intention, take things off the private art market and change their direction so they'll be more accessible to humanity in the future. So looking at these two projects here, you can kind of see that I've been thinking more about long-term purposes, actually doing something good for the world. Hopefully it inspires you to think about this as well. I don't know where this came from, again, maybe coming off the back of COVID. I think, no, actually I know where the change largely started, and it was when the Ukraine war began. I felt pretty bad about it. Obviously a lot of people did. Everyone was pissed off, everyone was angry, and rightly so, but it kind of just, I think, kicked in this feeling of, what am I doing? You know, like making all this very superficial stuff, focusing so much time on superficial things. So I'm going to keep sticking to this Optiflow thing, see what I can do. I've already got like I said, I've got to get the Blender Cinema website database finished, and I need to start preparing another main channel video because we're kind of a week out from that now, and it's starting to become overdue. But the intention behind these extra tools and stuff is that hopefully if we get things built that can speed up these brackets, essentially, we will end up opening more space during the day. And when we open up more space, then it opens the way for more project work as well, and more tool development. So this kind of started off as a thing where we look at this and we think, okay, this is an impossible amount of work to do, but I don't believe anything's impossible. Like, I'm quite ruthless with that belief. And that if we can complete an impossible amount of work in a day, then why not complete another impossible amount of work afterwards? So at the same time as doing that, like I said, can we see whether we can inject purpose back into that work? See, what's the time? 11:21. Looks like I am still within the recording time here. Like I said, I don't have a main channel video to record at the moment, so maybe I'll close this up and start working on the editing early. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Let's have a quick little recap. So Vertex Machine and Techo Shrimp, Matthew, have been experimenting with this productivity tool idea that we had. That's WinFlow. You can check that out. I'll probably put like a GitHub link somewhere. If not, join our Discord. You'll be able to find it somewhere on there. We've spoken about trying to inject purpose back into artwork to stop us from making like really superficial but cool looking things. Hopefully for the overall benefit of also increasing the positivity we feel about our artwork, if we feel like we're also trapped in this cyclic loop of producing things just for the sake of engagement. While we were at it, I also talked about one of my more secretive projects, which I've been a bit scared to talk about because there's so much politics behind it, but I feel like I'm doing it for a good reason, and I hope that people understand. So yeah, hopefully that's inspired you. If any of you viewers out there like start trying to prep out your own like day tracker like this, if you have the time to, if you're even interested, show me, because I'll find that really interesting. If you want to have your hand at kind of workflow improvement tools and make them available for other people, that'd be fantastic. I'll talk about it as well. If there are any causes or charities that you feel like deserve some attention, let me know. And yeah, if you made it this far through the video, put a art related emoji in the comments, paintbrush, an art palette, a framed piece of artwork, any of the above. I'm going to get back to trying to follow the schedule. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you next time.